Record. There we go. Okay. So today we are doing the mini career chat on financial planning. We have Mark Dill from the class of 2018. He's a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, and Tre Killian, class of 2017, and he's a financial advisor for Northwestern Mutual. Mark, would you get us started?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you all for joining us today. We're so excited to be here. Tre and I are proud Center alumni and are happy to be with you today. So as Mindy mentioned, I am Mark Dill. I'm a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch here in Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm going to share kind of three main things with you all today. I'm going to talk about my background and how I got to Center, how I got to Merrill Lynch. And then lastly, what do I do? So that if you're considering a career in finance or a career in wealth management, perhaps, then you know a little bit more about what to expect. So I'll start with who am I? And my story starts back in middle school and in early high school when the Great Recession of 2008-2009 happened. So in 2008-2009, my family had some investments, and my dad had started setting aside some money for me to help pay for college. And in the recession, those investments took a big downturn, as many of your families probably did too. And so at that point, my dad started bringing home the Wall Street Journal or the USA Today money section, and in paper format, not on a Kindle or something, in paper format. And he would bring it home, and at the dinner table each night, he would share some of the information from those newspapers with my family. And he would start teaching me, what is Time Warner cable stock doing today? And a funny story is that was one of my Christmas gifts one year, was a share of Time Warner cable stock. And I'll tell you why. Because he thought that I loved TV so much, and I thought I loved TV so much that it should do well. And so that was one of my Christmas gifts one year, as a share of that. And so I just really developed a passion for investments and for the markets at an early age because of my father. And so kind of moving through high school, the markets recovered and things got better, and I ended up getting to go to Center, and I got a great scholarship, and things worked out that way. But all through that time, I really developed a passion, and I knew that was the field I wanted to be in. And so Center was a good fit. Center allowed me to have the opportunities to reach out to some of the wealth management firms here in Lexington and do some internships and get jobs. And we can get there in a second. But the story does end well, and I got to go to Center. And I will mention that my father passed away earlier this year from leukemia. And so I'm always appreciative and thankful of what he did to help me get to where I am today. So that's a little bit about who I am and my path to get from high school to Center. And while I was at Center then, one of my very first classes was econ, I guess it was 101, with Dr. Fabritius. And I don't know if Dr. Fabritius is out there today, but I think he's moved to Georgia now, and with Dean Fabritius. And he really made me fall in love with economics and finance. And he's the person who advertised the investment society at Center. And so he was, I guess, the chapter advisor, they called it. And so he invited me to that, and I just fell in love with it. We showed up and we wore suits and ties my freshman year. And I just thought that was the greatest thing in the world, and really enjoyed that. And so I kept taking those econ and finance courses, and I kept taking them. And after my sophomore year, I walked into the Merrill Lynch office in Lexington and just said, "Hey, do you all have any internships?" And oddly enough, the lady who worked at the front desk also went to the church that I went to. And then, so I knew her. And then I was able to get an internship there. And then, oddly enough, there was another lady who also went to my church, who was an advisor at Merrill, and her name is Molly Brennan. And so that summer, then I really got to get connected with Molly. And my third, oddly enough, is that Molly had a center graduate on her team, and her name is Jessica Schmidt. It was Jessica Decker while she was at center. And so it seemed like a really nice fit for me and for my personality. And so then I came back for a second summer, and it was directly with the team. And now I've been full-time with them for a few years, and became a financial advisor, and have just really developed a passion for helping our families solve problems that are in their lives. And so that's a little bit about how I got to Merrill. As far as how Center helped me get there, there's a few crucial pieces that I want to mention. The first one is the alumni network. There is no stronger alumni network that I've found in my experience than the Center Alumni Network. They are willing to stick their neck out for you on a daily basis and try and help you with whatever you might be dreaming of. So that was the first thing. The second thing is the faculty. The faculty at Center, and I'll give you an example of Dr. Fabritius, Dr. Perry, a bunch of different professors that really had an influence on me. They are pushing you to get to be your best. And so when you are your best, opportunities arise for you, and doors start opening for you. And so I'm always very thankful for those professors who push me further than I'd ever been pushed before in the education world. And then finally, I would say it's the relationships you build with other Center students while you're there. I think that there's a lot of friends, colleagues, other just students you meet that will keep you pushing towards the best version of yourself. And for those of you that were at Center with President Roush, I'm sure he would echo the same thing as well. And I think those three things combine to be a really good driving force to get you to be the best version of yourself. And I think that's what makes Center alumni very unique in the workplace. And so those were kind of some of the highlights that I wanted to share with you all this morning. Mindy, am I up against my time limit?
You are getting there. You're just at 7 minutes.
All right. Well, I know you all want to hear from Tre too. You don't want to just hear from me. So I'd love to hear Tre's perspective and hear about his path as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Your story with your dad definitely resonates with me. I know growing up, my dad was in construction, still is today, actually doing something different than he was when I was, in middle school and high school. But 2008 hit, and obviously the housing market was a disaster. And so there was a 3 or 4 year period there where, the financial stability of our family was really compromised. And I think from that point on, my passion for saving money, not even investing, I work, with stock market every day, but just saving money. It's just not something that was ingrained in me early on. It was never really a priority for my family. And so, kind of coming to Center, seeing different levels of financial backgrounds come together and succeed, that kind of fostered in me, the desire to, one, create some financial stability for my family moving forward, but also, to kind of spread my reach and go help other people create good habits in the way of saving money and planning for the future. I came to Center via sports. I played football at Center. It's kind of the main reason why I chose to come to Center. I remember my first trip up to Center, coming from Nashville, which is a fairly urban area, like driving through Kentucky going, I just don't know if this is going to be for me. We're kind of out here in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. And then I got to Center and I met the people, faculty, staff, coaches, and I was like, this is it. Like, I love the people here. That's why I came to Center. That's why I stayed at Center. And it was a great choice for me. At Center, early on knew that I wanted to be doing something in the way of, finance or economics. So like immediately, signed up for as many of those classes as I could. Love the professors. Got connected. I'm not even sure how I got connected to him, but I got connected to an advisor at Northwestern in Louisville. I think it was my freshman year. And I was kind of on the hunt early on to figure out, how I could get an internship, start working in a more professional role in financial advising. I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I was like, I don't even know what you guys do. Are you help people invest money, save money? Like, is this debt payoff? I had some confusion about that early on. And so I just interviewed with, 5, 7, 9 different firms. And everybody kind of told me, hey, you're a freshman, put a pin in it, come back, junior year, senior year, and we can have a conversation about it. And I just didn't want to go back to Nashville and, work at a gym and fold towels and, not further, that professional desire. So I found Northwestern, found an advisor there that connected me to a recruiter in their office. Didn't really want to be in Louisville, so they were super gracious and connected me to somebody back home in Nashville. And that summer, after my freshman year, I went and played with the football team in Ireland, came back and then sat for some exams that are really important if you want to be an advisor. So different series exams, some insurance licensing, and then coming into my sophomore year, I was kind of fully licensed to do the work of a financial advisor. And while I was at Center, started building my business. There's kind of different ways you can enter into financial planning. The Northwestern option is like probably the most entrepreneurial model that's available early on. I looked at some options that were, you kind of start on somebody's team, help them manage their client base, and then you kind of take it over as time goes on. There's roles where you start as kind of a paraplanner, where you're doing all the back office work and you're not the person that's like in front of clients 24/7. My personality is like super, super high drive, really high social. I'm really impatient, fairly detail oriented. And so like, I knew early on that I would not be a good employee. I didn't interview well. I wanted to have lots of control, over what I was doing day to day. And the people at Northwestern were like, that's perfect. Like, that's exactly what we want you to do. And so their model was, the best possible fit for me from a professional standpoint I could have possibly found. By the time I graduated, I think I had 70 households that I worked with in different capacities, clients that were essentially either saving money with me, investing money with me, funding retirement accounts, funding, kids' college education. We do insurance planning at Northwestern. So like life insurance, disability insurance, annuities, long-term care insurance, the whole deal. And so I had 70 households that were in some capacity doing some type of planning with me across the board. Some of them were doing everything. And, I was helping them track for all their financial goals. Some clients were, just getting started, right? I had teammates that I played with that started a Roth IRA and started investing $100 a month with me while I was at Center. Had faculty and staff and professors and all types of people all over Danville that I was meeting with and just sharing with them what I was doing and trying to help them, start to plan for their financial goals. So graduated, had kind of an array of clients, came back to Nashville and started full time. And it's really just been kind of a dream since that point. So I guess it's been almost 4 years full time. And the financial, the role that I'm in now. Alongside it, I also develop and recruit, other financial advisors to our ensemble practice in Nashville. I think sometimes though there's this like mystical, hey, what does a financial advisor actually do? After doing it for 4 years plus a couple of years of internship, I feel like I can now share with you what we do. I spend probably 6 to 7 hours a day on the phone, on a video chat. Hopefully one day we're back, in person again, but just meeting with clients, asking them really good questions about where they're at today, where they like to go, what's important to them, their core wiring, how they think about money, and it's just serving as accountability and strategic thinking for people and their families. And so that's most of my day is that. I don't spend a ton of time researching stocks and doing things like that. We've got people on our team that manage things like that. But if you want to be in a career where you're spending lots of time with people, and you really value helping people and you value autonomy, this is a great place to be professionally. So I'll pause for a second and just pass it back to Mindy.
Yeah, so we have a few minutes, maybe like 10 minutes. So I thought maybe I could ask a few questions, but feel free to also expand on anything or respond to anything that either of you have said too. First, I'll give you that chance. Mark, is there anything that Tre said that you'd like to add to or highlight?
Yeah, Tre made a lot of great points, and I appreciate that he probably built out more the actual day-to-day role of the financial advisor than I did. He made a lot of great points, though, on what your day looks like. I'll be honest with you all, I am not an extrovert, so I don't get energy from talking to other people. But what I absolutely love is when I talk to somebody who's overwhelmed with a problem that's been on their mind, and I can help them alleviate that sense of being overwhelmed, and something that's on their mind can now fall off and they can move on with their day. And so when Tre talked about spending many, many hours a day on the phone or on video chat now, that is true. And so even though you don't have to be an extrovert to spend 6 or 7 hours of your day talking to people, you can be an introvert just like me. But it's that sense of purpose for wanting to solve problems for other people and their families, looking at long-term planning, makes a lot of sense in a lot of cases. And so Tre was right on there. The other thing that I had in mind that I wanted to share while I was at Center, and this is an analogy I think I used with the Investment Society a few months ago when I spoke to a few of the students, and it's a car analogy. So if you're a car person, you'll appreciate this. If you're not, then just kind of roll with me. So a Toyota Camry built here in Kentucky takes about 18 to 20 hours of manufacturing time, of actual labor hours to build. It's a great car. It runs really well. There's no problems with it. In comparison, a Rolls-Royce, which many of you all know, beautiful cars. You don't get to see them very often, but when you do, it's a spectacle. They're beautiful. They take about 800 hours of labor. So the way that I see it is a Center graduate is the Rolls-Royce of the workforce. Not to demean any other institution, but I know firsthand, and Tre can attest to this, what it took to get through 4 years at Center. It took long hours. It took late nights. I played baseball, so it took studying on the bus coming back from the middle of Arkansas and in the middle of Mississippi, and you're like, where in the world are these places? But you're studying in those hours because you're putting in the hours necessary so that when you're the finished product, you're the finished Rolls-Royce, when you leave, it's obvious. And now being on the other side, on the employer side, it's obvious who those people are who have put in the time to really master who they are and who they want to be when they graduate. And so I would just keep encouraging you all who are there today to recognize you're forming yourself in the best way possible. So I just want to encourage you on that format too.
It's a really great point. I think to kind of take that a step further, there's a lot of what Mark and I do that we learned after graduating from Center. For me, 90% of what I do now was learned after Center. There are some things you learn at Center that are super valuable. Really, your ability to communicate, your ability to problem solve, and your ability to connect with people. Those are some of the things that set you apart when you leave Center. I know that, to be brutally honest, most of the people in Mark and I's career look like Mark and I, right? There's not a lot of diversity in the world of financial planning. And, one thing I would like to just say to everybody listening is, if you feel like helping people with their money might be a passion of yours, regardless of your background, if you're an English major, if you've majored in something that's not econ and finance, or it's intimidating for you, but you have a compelling story, and you're getting the sense that, hey, doing something in this realm might be for me, I would encourage you to just go for it. Start connecting with people like Mark, people like me that have made some progress. People from Center, as Mark said earlier, overwhelmingly will want to help you. And so that's kind of my, just word of encouragement in terms of, coming out of Center. If you don't feel fully prepared to go out and be a financial advisor because you didn't take a CFP course or you didn't do all the finance classes at Center, don't worry about it. You can still create a meaningful career after Center.
Thank you for that. I think that's important, especially at a place like Center, where we encourage people to major in a lot of different things and not always, think about your career past that, but that we encourage students to major in different things. And I think that diversity is important. So
Mindy, I actually have a point that came from Tre's thoughts there. And it's such a good point. I would almost recommend some students major, or at least minor, in something other than economics and finance, or the new business major that I look forward to hearing about, to show that you're unique in some way. The more unique you can be, the better off you will be. And I'll give you an example. While I was at Center, I took glass blowing with Stephen Powell. And I thought that was the greatest class, outside of maybe a couple of Dr. Fabridius and Dr. Perry courses, greatest course I took. And it broadened my horizons more than any other course, absolutely, for sure. And I'll give you an example of how that helped me. So as soon as I graduated, I'm in a training course for Merrill. They brought us to the headquarters. Bank of America owns Merrill Lynch. And so we went to the headquarters of Bank of America in Charlotte, North Carolina. We went to the top floor of the Bank of America headquarters. And I kid you not, there are glass pieces on the top floor, like famous Harvey Littleton and a couple Dale Chihuly pieces at the top of that, at the top of the headquarters. And my icebreaker when this had all started was that I took glass blowing at Center, and that was a fun fact. So we get back to the top floor of the headquarters, and we see these glass pieces. The program instructor says, "Mark, do you know anything about these?" And I'm like, oddly enough, yes, I do know about the Dale Chihuly pieces. So I gave a 2-minute speech from the podium of the headquarters of Bank of America about glass pieces on a Merrill Lynch financial advisor trip. So if that doesn't show you what a Center graduate can do, then I don't know what will. But yeah, that was a great story. And I do have photos if you want to see them sometime.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're running out of time, but I want to, so you guys have talked a lot about the positives of your field, but I want to kind of give maybe a quick realistic check. What is something that's challenging for you, or that you found challenging or unexpected in the field getting into that?
Sure, I'll knock it out real quick and then I'll turn it over to Tre. The biggest challenge going into it is that in this field of financial advising, there is no way to turn off what you do. The way that our business works, it's a lifestyle more than an employer-employee relationship. It is a lifestyle. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you are functioning in this role. You might get a call from somebody who's trying to get a new house or a new car, or they're trying to make a decision and they need your help. And it might be 10 o'clock at night and you got to help them walk through that. And so I love that part of the job because I love being able to help people answer those questions. But there are times that it could be nice to turn it off and walk away. And that's where it's nice to have, let's say, a team around you who can help support that. So the challenge there is it's a full-time position, truly full-time. But Tre, what would you say?
I would agree with that. I would take it, maybe a different route. And I know, Mark, our opportunity, like our roles at our firms may be a little bit different, but the overwhelming rejection that you face in order to succeed is really, really painful. Even if you've experienced, some level of rejection in your life, every, 10 people I talk to about their financial plan, they tell me things that they'd like to solve, they like to plan for, and I come back and I present solutions that I know to be excellent. And only one of those 10 people says, yeah, I want to do it. Let's move forward. So for every one, person that says, I want to join your financial planning arc and move forward with you, 9 of them say, I don't think so. Right. So that level of rejection, it feels every day like I'm moving backwards. And then I stop and I look at all the people I've helped and it's like, whoa, like I'm actually experiencing a lot of success. So that's the hardest thing for me.
Thank you for that. I think we're just about out of time. Do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to share with center students before we sign off?
The last thing I would say is a quick way to approach looking at careers for you. I always say you can either start with the position you want and you can explore that position at whatever firm you want, or you can start with the employer you want and say, I'm willing to do whatever job if you're at that employer. Quick example is if you want to work at Tesla more than anything in the world, then you go to Tesla and you find what jobs are available. If you want to be a financial advisor, you look for all the different firms offering those positions. And so just 2 different kind of routes to take when considering if you want to be a financial advisor, if you want to be in wealth management, finance at all. Always happy to re-engage with somebody if you want to reach out to me on a personal level as well.
I would echo that.
Well, great. Well, if anybody who's watching this would like to get in touch with Tre or Mark, feel free to reach out to the CCPD and we can get you their contact information. We hope that if you're not already in it, that you'll join our Career Mentor Network so that other students in the future can connect with you too. I think especially in financial services, those kinds of connections are really, really important. So we thank you for your time and look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Thank you, Mindy. Tre, great to see you.
See you, Mark.